can give support. Support to people who, for one reason or another, they are facing mental health challenges, they have mental health disorders. And you could be here, as Coach Mills has said, we are with you to support you through the journey of life. But again, also awareness so that we can become aware on how mental health affects us, and that is not the end of life. We can still walk and move to greater heights. My name is Dan Mugera. I am a coach, but at the same time, over the years, I have had the opportunity, tremendous opportunity to coach thousands of people, but at the same time, I've had the opportunity to counsel or to offer therapy to men and women who are going through different challenges of life, from marital to depression to bipolar disorders, people who are suffering anxiety or panic attacks or post-traumatic stress disorders. I've had tremendous opportunity to be able to work with these people and help them through therapy. One of the unique things that we introduced to our public speaking training and coaching is the aspect of therapy. Because we do understand that one of the reasons why people are not confident enough, or they're battling with fear, and I'm going to talk about that today, when they go on stage, it could be beyond just the normal fear. It could be something that is a mental health issue that causes them not to really be confident enough to stand before an audience and communicate effectively. And so sometimes in our classes, when people are doing the public speaking classes, the professional speakers course or the executive professional speakers course, time and again I've had an opportunity to pull some students away and talk to them to find out what could be the thing that is disturbing them or challenging them not to be effective in communication. Because sometimes you're able to spot a student whom the challenge that they're going through is a little bit more than what the others are going through. And through therapy, and then now combining it with coaching, we've been able to achieve a lot and enable a lot of people to overcome their fear. Friends, mental health is real. Mental challenges, mental health disorders, illnesses are real. Let me tell you that the mind is a powerful organ. The mind has what we call two characteristic functions. We have what we call the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Of course, those who have a background in psychology, they will tell you about the unconscious mind. Okay? Now you think with your conscious mind, and what you habitually think syncs to your subconscious mind, which creates according to the patterns of your thoughts. Just imagine that. Think with your conscious mind, and what you habitually think, what you form a habit of thinking a lot, sinks into your subconscious mind, which creates according to the patterns of your thoughts. Now remember this, that your subconscious mind is the seat at the same time. And so it is important then to understand how your mind works so that you come to that level of taking care of your mind in the best way possible. You need to take care of your mind. You need to take care of your mind. Great public speakers are keen on mental health. Great public speakers are keen on their mental health. They safeguard their mental health because they do understand that they need their mind to be functioning at maximum capacity for them to be able to communicate effectively, for them to be able to communicate effectively. And 10th of October is World Mental Health Day. Now, it's important for you to know this, that according to statistics by WHO, Kenya is ranked 4th in Africa, with approximately 1.9 million people suffering from mental health illnesses. Just imagine that. 1.9 people, approximately 1.9 people in Kenya suffer from mental health illnesses. And Kenya is ranked number 4 in Africa. Number 4 in Africa. Depression and anxiety disorders are among the leading causes of disability in Kenya today, significantly impacting productivity and at the same time quality of life. Depression and anxiety are the leading causes, or some of the leading causes of disabilities in Kenya today, impacting productivity and also quality of life. You and me knows that suicide is on the increase. It was 2021 that I was invited at Machakos University to speak to the student body mental health and how to overcome challenges of mental health after 2 students had committed suicide within a span of 3 months. The next year, that was 2022, I went to another university in Mombasa, that's Technical University of Mombasa. And while I was sharing with the students about mental health, the dean confirmed that actually in December 2021, one student had actually committed suicide. Stories like this have been in the increase. Now, while suicide rates are on the increase in Kenya today, suicide rates are underreported both globally and locally. Did you know that? The suicide rates today are underreported both globally and locally. So when we talk about the impact of mental health, the negative impact of mental health in Kenya and in the world today is at an alarming rate. But then while we go on our affairs every day, people keep doing public speaking. People keep talking. And one of the people that some of the people that I do appreciate a lot are people who have come out to turn their mental health challenges into a communication forum. These are people who have come out to share what they're going through, create awareness, not being ashamed of their own conditions, to speak to the world, to speak to their fellow friends about the challenges that they go through. They have upped their game in public speaking to speak and create awareness about their problem. I have a friend of mine who she's gone out to really talk about her condition. She's been battling bipolar. And she said, Dan, I have to go out and share with people so that they can understand how to deal with this particular challenge. And today there are a lot of people in this country suffering bipolar disorders. And there's still a lot of people who are not aware of the same. There are a lot of people who are suffering anxiety disorder. Some of them are suffering depression. Some of them post-traumatic stress disorders. How do we move this awareness to a level where people can come out, break the stigma, talk about what you're going through? That is the beginning of finding help. But I'm sure today one of the things you want to know is, how does mental health challenges or even disorders affect people when doing public speaking or affect public speakers? So let me say that. How does mental health challenges or disorder affect people as far as public speaking is concerned? So in the interest of time, I will talk about 3 challenges, and also in some of this, it will be what can start as a challenge and sometimes go beyond that and could be a disorder even that affects people. And you will agree with me that these are things that we face and things that affect people. And sometimes you wonder, is this person normal? But they have a challenge. But when they stand to communicate, the challenge rubs in and they end up getting affected in the way they communicate. And the first one is glossophobia. Glossophobia. Now, glossophobia is the fear of public speaking. Glossophobia is the fear of public speaking. You find somebody has negative thoughts. They have self-doubt and avoidance, They're battling with self-doubt and avoidance before they go on stage. Glossophobia can also affect your memory, and you find yourself, you are prepared, but when you get on stage, you go blank. You can't remember what you wanted to say. Also, concentration level. You find that you can't concentrate your thoughts very well and bring them out in the best way possible. And then also speech impairment. People shut completely. They get on stage and they shut completely, and they wonder what exactly happened. So glossophobia is the fear of public speaking. The word glosso means tongue in Greek, and phobia is fear. So, and that's why we talk about speech impairment. Sometimes it affects even your tongue. It cannot be able to communicate effectively the message that you are delivering. Are you suffering from glossophobia? Or do you have a challenge with glossophobia? The good news is that glossophobia can be overcome. If you are here and you have a challenge with glossophobia, it can be overcome, it can be managed, so that whenever you get on stage, you can communicate effectively. Whenever you get on stage, you can communicate effectively. Do I give you a guarantee that you are going to be 100% sure and overcome glossophobia? No. Sometimes you realize it's still there with you, especially a few minutes before you go on stage. But then the secret is, how do you manage it, take the stage, and deliver your message effectively? The key word is effective. How do you manage it, get on stage, deliver your message effectively? Yes, it's a challenge of mental health, and that's why you find yourself having negative thoughts running through your minds. Some of you, when you stand on stage, you see somebody smiling, and that throws you haywire. You wonder, why are they smiling? Is it because I've said something funny, or I look like a dumb person up here? That's why they are smiling. A lot of thoughts begin to rest in your mind, and then you get to that level where you have self-doubt. All that is part of glossophobia. And with coaching and proper training, and somebody working with you, you can be able to overcome glossophobia. And I'm sure you know somebody also who maybe has that particular challenge. And that's why the Africa Center for Public Speaking exists, to help such people, to equip you, to develop you, to enable you become better when you get on stage, to overcome the glossophobia. The second thing is, I'm sure you've seen it affecting a lot of speakers, from religious to political, but it doesn't begin there. It begins somewhere else, from a social point of view, and then it grows all the way to people who are in positions of authority, maybe in the religious world or in the political world, or even in the corporate world. And this, most people don't think it's a problem. It is called pathological lying. Pathological lying. Now, pathological liars tell compulsive lies without a clear motive. Pathological liars tell lies, compulsive lies without a clear motive. It is said that the root cause of pathological lying may be tied to genetics in some cases, okay, or low self-esteem and a false sense of self. False sense of self. When you find yourself lying to somebody just to make them have an image that is wrong about you, either you lied about where you live, or lied about who you really are, or lied about what you own. If you find yourself doing this so many times until for no even good reason. There is no really benefit that you're going to get. You just want to lie to people left, right, and center. Chances could be there is this particular condition of pathological lying. It begins as a challenge, but like I said, it could be a genetical case, or you're suffering low self-esteem. And so what happens? A pathological liar will go on stage with bravado and lie to people about things that are not real in their public speaking. Now, remember, in one of the ethics of public speaking, we usually say, do not mislead. So right there, you find yourself as a public speaker. You have already broken one of the ethics of public speaking by lying to people. Have you ever delivered a speech and found yourself exaggerating and putting a lot of information that is incorrect just to lure people or to draw people into you? Some of you who do sales, then chances could be, and you formed this as a behavior that without putting some little lie here and there, you don't think like people will really accept it. That tells you there is a problem. There's a problem with your public speaking. Because your public speaking should be as honest as possible. Your public speaking should be as honest as possible. You should be able to communicate to people with genuineness. We talk about the 3 pillars of public speaking. You remember, some of you were here when I talked about logos, ethos, and pathos. And under ethos, I said, you could be an expert, you could be an authority, but people tend to listen to people they respect. When you form a habit of lying, you lose your ethos. You could have pathos, emotional appeal with your audience, but your emotional appeal can only last you for 6 months. After 6 months, people begin to check whether you are ethical enough to do what you said you're going to do. Now, you know that our politicians, some of the religious leaders, corporate leaders, are failed terribly because of this particular condition that they could be having, and they don't even know. They don't even know. I know some of you, your minds are already moving very fast, thinking about some people that you know. But that's the reality of life. That's the reality of life, that there are people who could be suffering this particular condition that causes them to be pathological liars, and they don't even know about it. But it begins with small things, and then you find yourself, because of low self-esteem or a false sense of who you are, it graduates to become bigger and bigger and becomes a condition that affects you and affects other people. In my life, I've come across such people. People who... Caroline, please. Caroline, please mute yourself. All right. Caroline Koech, kindly mute yourself. And so you might be there, and I've said that in life I've come across people who are pathological liars. These are not politicians, by the way, or even religious leaders. Of course, I've come across such politicians also. But then these are just individuals, some of them friends, and they could not resist the compulsiveness of telling a lie, even when the lie was not going to benefit them. Now, this is different from telling a lie and you're conscious you're telling a lie. This is where you feel an urge to always tell a lie, even when the lie is not going to benefit you in any way. So you are able to condition people with lies, so much so that they get to that place whereby they begin to believe your lies as the truth. And as a public speaker, this eventually will cost you big time, because you want to be honest in the way you communicate. And the third one Some of you might think it's similar to the second one, but it's not. This is what we call the antisocial personality disorder. And I'm talking to you, or I'm sharing with you this so that when you see it, you can become aware of it. Antisocial personality disorder, ASPD, it's a mental health condition that can affect the way you think and interact with others and lead you to manipulate or deceive people, exploit or take advantage of people for your own benefit. Now, as opposed to the other side of pathological lying, which somebody has compulsive, lies under compulsive need to just share lies with people, antisocial personality disorder has an element of manipulation and deception, has also an element of exploitation and taking advantage of someone for your own benefit. Now, some of you are saying, so does it mean I have this condition because I did ABCD? If you did it once and twice, that's okay. But the problem is that if it becomes a habit where you always want to manipulate and deceive people, to exploit and take advantage of people for your own benefit, there could be a problem there. There could be a problem. And so what happens is that ASPD can lead you whenever you are communicating to people. You always have an element of trying to take advantage of people. Your communication is designed to manipulate, to exploit people. And the problem is that once people discover this, then they begin to move away from you. You lose your ethos, you lose your pathos, your logos becomes questionable because people no longer trust that you are doing or saying the right thing. So what should we do? Today, as we celebrate the World Mental Health Day, I want you to be aware of yourself. This and many other conditions could affect the way you deliver your message. Too much stress, of course, can affect the way you deliver your message when you stand before an audience, because you need to be relaxed so that you can share your message effectively. And then don't live in denial. Be aware and don't live in denial. If you know you have a problem, don't live in denial. What I see a lot of people try to do is to live in denial. Now, living in denial is not going to solve the situations or the issues that you're facing in your life. Be aware. Don't live in denial. Accept that I have a challenge, I have a problem. And then seek for support. Seek for support. Some of you might need to work with a counselor, therapist. Some of you might need support from friends to help you to be accountable enough so that they come in to be your accountability partner. Some of you might need coaching to help you realign some of the behaviors so that you are able to conform to what is good and what can influence humanity for good. Ladies and gentlemen, as we celebrate the World Mental Health Day, understand, as speakers, the urge to do what is not right sometimes can be there. And also, negative thoughts and glossophobia and anxieties that can cause you not to do the right thing again can be there. But all this you can find help to get to a level where you communicate effectively your message to your audience and influence your world positively. If you and me choose to walk that particular direction, the world, Kenya, will become a better place because we will have speakers who are positive, speakers who are healthy mentally, and speakers who can communicate effectively. Thank you very much, and may God bless you. Back to you, Coach Mills. Coach Mills? Back to you, Coach Mills.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much. I'm already seeing the virtual handcuffs going up. Thank you so much. I was having some technical issues. I think I lost you for like 2 minutes. Yeah, thank you so much, Coach, for just shedding more light on mental health and its relations to public speaking, about glossophobia and dealing with the issue of being lying and manipulation, and how it's not really funny, and it's actually an indication of a mental disorder that needs to be addressed if we are to show up as public speakers in an authentic way. With that said, now I would want to open the Q&A segment. So if you have questions, we will prioritize questions that are in relation to today's topic. Right, so if you have a question that you have in relations to mental health and public speaking, now it's your chance. 2 ways we can do this. One, you can drop your question in the chat box and I will monitor it and I will forward it to the speaker, or you can just put your hand up. I see Alice Mugera, Cardo Jr., your hands are up. I don't know if this went up earlier or you have a question that you'd like to ask. So this is your chance. If you have a question in line with what we've covered today, or any question in relation to mental health and its relation to public speaking, this is your chance. Okay, Alice confirms that it's not a question. Her hand has just been up for a minute. So anyone, your hand can go up or you can drop the question in the box. I see a question by Samuel K. Coach Samuel K asks, how effective, okay, now this one is, okay, how effective is the professional speaker's course? You can just take it.
Samuel, thank you for that particular question. Over the years, there are over 3,000 people who have gone through the professional speakers course, Samuel. So that number really tells you that that course is very, very effective. Some of the people who have gone through that course are here. I think Steve Rabuku can talk about it. Mark Henry Mwakaya can talk about how the professional speakers course is. I think Catherine Gidai is already going through that. You know, I see here who have gone through the professional. Coach Mills has gone through the professional speakers course. So I can assure you, in those 5 intense weeks of training and coaching, by the time you come out, you can be sure you will be effective. But then we provide a platform to work with you even more and be able to help you become even more effective. Of course, at the end of the day, we tell people it's like government-private sector partnership. There are things that we do, and there are things you've got to do. And that particular partnership through coaching enables you to become better. I can talk a lot about this, but I can assure you, Samuel, when you come to class, when you experience it right from the first day, you will know what we are talking about. Yeah, because it's the practical aspect that enables you to become better. It's not the theoretical aspect. Yes, we do share the theoretical perspective, but it's the practicals that we go through every day, get feedback from your fellow students, get feedback from the coaches that enables you to become better. That's for now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Coach. So Nixon, your hand is up. Nilson Kuyo, you can ask. Nixon Kuyo, well, his hand was up, and also I see he dropped the question in the box, so I can just read it. Nixon says, thank you for this. My question is, what do you do when you have fear of public speaking? Can you give a strategy?
So As much as I can give you a strategy, Nixon, some of these things are personal and may not apply to everybody here from a blanket point of view. You may need to really work with a coach, because your problem could be emanating from a personality point of view. Your problem could be emanating from a behavior point of view. Your problem also could be emanating because you are dealing with a condition, either it's a panic disorder or an anxiety, and you're not even aware about that. And that's why it is important for you to seek for expert help. I know we Kenyans, we love what is called over the counter. When you have a problem, you go to a pharmacist, you describe what you're feeling, and you get some medication, and you go and treat it. If you don't get better, you go back and say they did not work very well. See, yes, here I can give that, what is called over the counter, but until I sit down with you, Nixon, and you tell me what exactly you feel when you go on stage, then I can be able to assess and be able to help you very, very well. So, Nixon, there are different reasons why people have problems or they suffer glossophobia when they go on stage. Me understanding what you're going through exactly, you will need to sit down with me so that we get to know exactly what is your situation and how we can help you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Caroline Wanga says, thank you, Coach, for this. Also, Irene says, thank you, sir. Very informative. Riziki also confirms and says, thanks, Coach, for the wonderful session. Now, Mark Henry Wakaya, your hand is up. You can ask your question. Grace, your mic is on. Could you kindly mute Grace Mwangi?
Hey guys.
Hi.
What is this that you want me to? Sorry, I didn't get her.
No, I'm saying your mic, Grace, your mic is on, so we can hear some noise. You can kindly mute.
Sorry.
Mark Henry, you can go ahead and ask your question. Your audio.
I think Mark has a problem there with the audio.
Mark, your audio is very of course, we can't hear. Can you kindly text the question? All right. In the meantime, as Mark texts his question, Lazaro Catiso asks, he says, thanks for this. I think that's a question. Some shake their hands seriously. How can they be helped?
Yes, shaking of hands is a problem of glossophobia. It's anxiety. You're nervous at that point. So there are different things we tell people. One, if you speak on a podium, behind a podium, instead of holding your hands at the beginning as you're dealing with the problem, please hold the podium. That provides anchoring so that your hands are not hanging and being seen shaking. But then learn to relax. It's not a do or die thing, I tell people. It is just speaking. So relax, all right? But another thing that can be able to dispel that is you preparing your message very, very well. Preparing your message very, very well so that you know what you want to say to your audience. And then practice that message before you go for an audience. Then when you find yourself in that stage, and you find yourself, maybe your hands are shaking, or sometimes somebody is holding a microphone like this, and the hand is shaking, have the microphone on a microphone stand, and then hold the podium to cool yourself down, and then you will get back on track and continue with your message. Through practicing, that is why I believe people can be able to overcome this. And I have seen people overcome this big time through our program. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Coach. Zalika Ibrahim asks, my question is how to build fluency.
Practice, 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 practice. But some problems of fluency comes from lack of what we call inadequate preparation. So take time to really prepare. And also, in preparation, what I tell people is that speakers are readers. Some level of fluency is created because you have a problem with language. So learn to read. Speakers read widely and wildly so that they are able to understand sequence or flow of information so that when they have the opportunity now to speak, they are able to communicate effectively. So Zalika, through reading, through thorough preparation, and through practicing, you will indeed develop the capacity to speak with fluency.
Okay. There's a question by Fanwell. Could you kindly rephrase your question? I don't quite understand. I don't know how to ask it. Kindly, Fanwell Kisi Enya, kindly ask your question again. I'm not quite getting it. Anbiti, your hand is up. You can go. You can ask. Anbiti, you have a question? Your hand is up. All right. Maybe that was an error. Jacqueline Kirote says, hello everyone. Thank you, Coach Dan, for the session. Thank you, Coach Mills, for the moderation. My name is Jacqueline and I'm proud alumni of the Africa Center for Public Speaking. I would like to comment on the effectiveness of the course. For me, it helped me overcome my fear and boosted my confidence in this team. Positive self-talk is very important and one has to be deliberate and intentional about the journey. Your voice matters and with dedication and practice, you can make it count. Thank you. That is more of a, that wasn't a question. That was what is
And if I could share a little bit, Coach Mills, about Jacqueline. Jacqueline graduated I think should have been a September class.
Mm-hmm.
And I've used Jacqueline in Kirote's example as a classical case of somebody who was completely down when it came to public speaking when she came in. But through deliberate effort and practice and what she's saying here, Jacqueline kept moving up, and you can't imagine, by the time Jacqueline was doing her final presentation, she was one of the best. Mm-hmm. And here is a person who came in when she was struggling with a lot of issues as far as public speaking is concerned. Mm-hmm. But through practice, Jacqueline moved up to become not just an effective communicator, but also a fluent speaker, so to say. So thank you very much, Jacqueline. You are really a classical case when it comes to public speaking.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jacqueline, again. Mark's question is finally in. He asks, Mark Henry asks, there is this situation of remembering past, mostly sad events during public speaking, which makes the speaker go out of topic. Where do we place this and how can one overcome such?
The issue here is because people are not comfortable with their past, and especially negative past. And so one of the things that we do in public speaking, in our coaching and training, and Coach Mills, we can attest to this, we help people get in touch with their past through a process we call the river of life, so that you are able to get in touch with your past, both the positive and the negative. This enables you then to know categorically what you want to pick from your life that you want to share with the people that you are comfortable with. And so you will realize 90% of your speech needs to be outward and 10% need to be inward. That's what we call self-disclosure. And this is what enables you to develop authenticity. That ethos comes from there. So why people get uncomfortable is because sometimes their mind takes them there while they have not prepared to really share part of their life that they find a little bit uncomfortable. So you need to get to a level where you make a decision, I'm going to share this particular area of my life to help somebody else learn. Or I'm going to share this to simply help me talk about it and heal as far as my life is concerned. So once you make that decision, Mark, then it becomes part and parcel of you and part and parcel of your tool of influence to your audience. And surprisingly, people tend to empathize with people's pain, people's failure, people's genuineness. If you are able to share it, people will connect with that. And that can enable you to influence people very well. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Coach. We are almost coming to the end of the Q&A, so if you still have a pressing question, I think this is your chance before we close out. So before we close out, I see Collins says, hello, thanks for the session. It was very informative. You're welcome, Collins. We're happy to have you. Dan Faith asks, how do biological factors like genetic predisposition to anxiety, social influences such as being in a high pressure environment, and cognitive process like negative self-talk interact to affect public speaking anxiety, and what holistic strategies can be used to manage it effectively?
What I've just said, you need to be aware of this. Now, the problem is people are aware sometimes, but they live in denial. They live in denial. So accept that you have this particular challenge and you need help, and then now seek for support through coaching. And also sometimes, like I said, we combine it with therapy. We have enabled people to overcome, and at the same time, some of them manage those particular situations. They manage and even get to a place where they can overcome some of these issues and be able to communicate effectively. But living in denial will make you become a pretender sometimes when you're communicating. And that's why some people, you see them speaking, but they're not genuine. It's not coming from here. It's not coming from their heart. They are faking it because there's something they're battling with, but they don't want people to know or to see. So instead of you managing it and overcome those things, you begin to fake, to try to be who you're not. Now, remember this. The public speaking is not imitation. Don't try to imitate anybody. And public speaking at the same time, it is not sticking to standards or patterns. You can follow particular patterns and you think that will enable you to grow and become better, but that's not going to enable you to grow. You need to be authentic. You need to be authentic. You need to be yourself. You need to be as natural as possible in the way you communicate. The greatest form of public speaking is actually conversational. It is not performance, it is conversation. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Coach. Mary, I saw another one. Mary and someone else had asked about the course outline. I will come back and respond to that. Rosalind has asked a very good question that I think is relatable to most of us. I'm surprised this has never come up before. She asks, how can I overcome the fear of giving a speech in the presence of good speakers? Their presence makes me feel inadequate, no matter how good I prepare.
I know. This is really a battle, and it is a battle of self-esteem. Once you deal with your self-esteem, Rosalind, and get to the level where you accept yourself and who you are, then you begin right there in sharing what you have in an effective way. Not trying to compare yourself with anybody, because comparison is an unneeded energy to your own potential. Get this. Comparison is an unneeded energy to your own potential. The moment you compare yourself with anybody, it begins to rob you of that energy to grow your own potential. So understand who you are. You're not trying to compete with anybody. You are just sharing a message. You're just sharing a message. So be humble enough to share your message with authenticity, without trying to be who you are not. Through that, you get to grow big time and become better and better. There could be great speakers there. You don't need to try to be like them. Just be yourself and be authentic enough to share your message. Believe me, great speakers who are genuine great speakers appreciate others, even in their struggle. And they will sympathize and empathize with you and help you to grow. So take that advantage, and do your best.
All right. Thanks, Coach. There's another testimonial by Elvis Kipnegon. He says, thank you, Coach Dan, for this session. And then he says, by the way, I've seen improvement since I started viewing nervousness as a high adrenaline. I'm like ready to fight or flight. So all I do is convince myself that it's safe, deep breathe, it lowers the anxiety. That's more of a testimonial, which we love. And then Irene says, yes, imitation is limitation. And then promotional mental wellness in communities. That's your username. I would love to know what your name is. She says, imposter syndrome is real once in the presence of those we revere. And that's in response to the question you've just taken right now. Then I will go to the last question of today. It's from, there's someone who asked about dressing. Yeah, Lazaro Catiso, who had asked a question before, I think it was another part B, and he asked in relation to, let me find it. He's the same person who had asked question about hands shaking a bit too much. Then he asked, is dressing code part of this? Please help. Like, I think he's asking, is dressing code part of dealing with how we show up on stage and dealing with maybe anxiety? They help.
Again, I will say this, that public speaking is not primarily grooming. It's not primarily grooming, right? So while dressing has its place in public speaking, it is not primarily that. I've seen people focusing more on dressing, and they go on stage and become disaster. So dress the way you want to be addressed. Dress according to the occasion. Dress comfortably, because that gives you a sense of self-esteem and confidence when you're dressed well and you look good. Yeah? But then work on your message, practice it, prepare very well, so that when you go on stage, your dressing is a compliment, but then you have a message that you can deliver effectively. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think there's one last one that I had overlooked. Caroline, your question is the last one. She says, thank you so much for the session. My problem is accent. How do I overcome it? So take it as the last one, Coach, as we transition.
It's interesting because today I was coaching a big dignitary, and he kept telling me, I was brought up in the rural areas, and I struggle with English because, of my accent. And I told him, I don't think your English is a problem. I think most people sometimes have been brought up in rural area maybe, and they have a mother tongue effect, that's what I call it, tend to think they have a problem with the English language. But it's not the English language they have. It is the accent that maybe emanates from your mother tongue. Now, your mother tongue is not a problem. Your mother tongue is not a problem. Unless it completely distorts your diction to such a level that people are not able to understand what you're talking about. Now, this, you might need to work on it so that you get to a level whereby your mother tongue does not affect your diction. People can be able to understand you. But there's no problem with your accent, because all over the world, People have accents. A Chinese speaking English will have a Chinese accent. A British speaking English will have a British accent. An American speaking English will have an American accent. And by the way, even in America, there are different accents. Accents from the north and accents from the south are different. Okay? A South African speaking English, a Nigerian speaking English, there will be an accent. Of course, there will be a problem with some pronunciation of some words, but as long as we can be able to understand you, that's okay. And in Kenya, a Kikuyu speaking English might have that particular problem sometimes. A Meru, or so is a Giriama, so is a Taita when they're speaking English, or a Luya, or a Luo, or a Kalenjin. There will always be that particular challenge, mother tongue effect. But as long as your diction, people can understand you, you should not worry so much. Have confidence, communicate your message very well. But if you think your accent, so to say, or your mother tongue gets to a level where it affects your pronunciation, so that people, you say this word, but people understand it this way because of the way you pronounce it, then right there you need help, a little bit, to help you master the art of pronunciation so that you get the diction in the right way. The accent must still be there, but then people are able to understand you, and that should not worry anybody. So I hope I get to help the person who asked that particular question, Coach Mills. Back to you.
Yeah, that was very helpful, I think, not just for them, but for everyone. Yeah, true, we all have accents. As long as you communicate, it's fine. So help me just again to just appreciate Coach Dan as he exits the virtual platform, because now we've come to the end of our webinar. But before you click the red icon, I just want to conclude with this. Yeah, my coffee. Thank you so much. So I didn't even say who I was. I am Coach Mills, short for Millicent. I am one of the coaches at the Africa Center for Public Speaking, and our business is that, coaching people on public speaking, and also some other programs that I will touch on. And that's what we do. That's what we love to do. We've had, like Coach talked about, we've had more than 3,000 people walk through our doors, and they've been transformed in how they show up as speakers at work, in public spaces, in the different needs that they brought them to us in the first place. And other than that, we have a couple of programs that we do offer at the Africa Center for Public Speaking that I would want to just mention, even as we again just bring this to a close. Can you see my screen? Yeah. So yes, we do, like I mentioned, we do have, there's someone who, I saw some questions about the program and the course outline. So that's why I didn't bring them up, because I'm going to mention them in passing right now. So we do have a couple of programs on public speaking. We do have the professional speakers course, which is a group. And then we have some one-on-one, we have 2 one-on-ones, which is the regular speakers course, the executive speakers course. And then we also have the children's speakers course. The children's speakers course, which happens on Saturdays, and also it happens on the public holiday. We have the holiday one coming up in November during the school break. So if you want to find out more about our programs on public speaking, I'll give our number, and then you can reach out to us and we can give you more, including the course outline. I saw some questions about the course outline. That is for the public speaking courses. For the class one, maybe I can just mention, for the class one, it happens for 5 weeks. It runs through 5 weeks, and classes are 3 times a week. So in total, it's 15 sessions. And the next intake is on October 21st. That's next week, but one on Monday. That's when we're starting the next class. So if you're here and you'd want to join that class, I will give you details on how you can find out more in book just before we wind up. Also, we have some leadership programs that we do offer at our center. So if you're here and you'd want to just you're preparing for a leadership role, or you're already in a leadership role and you feel like you can really improve, or you feel a need to better yourself in how you show up as a leader, we do have a program that will be fitting. So I have some personal development programs. If you're struggling with something, you feel like you just want to that we have some programs that we can suggest for you, and we also have some programs in relation to job interview. So if you have a big interview coming up, or you're tired of always getting an invitation to the interview room that never really bear any fruits, you don't end up getting a contract, then this is a program that you can consider. Also, Coach Dan, who has just taken us through an awesome session, is an author, and he's written two. One, Public Speaking from the Heart, and the other one is Eradicating a Poverty Mindset. So those are some of the products that we do offer at the Africa Center of Public Speaking. Now, if you're interested in any of the programs, or you'd want to know more about the programs that we've listed there, kindly do send us an email at info@publicspeakingtc.org. That is the same email that prompted you about the webinar or confirmed you for the webinar. Or you can send us a text on WhatsApp, or you can call us on 254-734-300-900. All right, and we'll be able to tell you to respond to all your questions about what is the course outline looks like, because the three, depending on the program that you pick, the course outline will be different. So call us or email us, and we're going to give you the full outline of the course, and also the prizes, and then how they will start, or how the sessions will be conducted. And if you're new here, probably you don't know this, but if you've been here for a while, we really appreciate when people do turn up to the webinars, and people respond to the webinars. And just to appreciate, we normally offer a 10% discount that runs for 48 hours. So if you want an extra incentive to enroll in one of the programs, we have a 10% discount that will run for the next 48 hours, starting tomorrow, not now, starting tomorrow. All you have to do is text us. There's someone who's microphone and I can't see who it is. So if your mic is on, kindly mute. Yeah. So if you'd want to activate your discount, just email us or text us, even as you follow up with the 10% discount. And then whichever program you select, we're going to activate it with a 10% discount. Again, this offer expires on Saturday at midnight. So yeah, so that's that. And we're so happy that you've been here, you stayed with us until the end. And we hope that as many as you who are new or haven't enrolled yet would want to see you show up here with your testimonials and just encouraging others on the journey, or you also experiencing the transformation that we've had. So many other students walk through our doors and experience transformation in how they show up to the world, how they show up on stage with confidence. And yeah, so thank you so much. Thank you for joining. Thank you for spending your international day with us. And yeah, good night. Thank you.